Welcome into the Real Spiel Podcast Postgame Show edition on the channel, where we come to you right after any Louisville game that we can, where we've got some of our talent here on the show available, and that is one of those nights. We've got Rashawn Myers, host of the Wake Up 502 radio show, Trevor Kelsey, longtime sports encyclopedia member in the Louisville sports media, and longtime member of the Real Spiel podcast that hasn't been around very long. And then, of course, Madison Woods, new to the Real Spiel team as well, has been doing a lot of Louisville post-game stuff and Louisville content stuff for quite some time now. Glad to be coming to you guys. We are live on X and live on YouTube, but Restream has been having an issue sending feeds to X for some reason lately. It says Real Spiel's live at the top of your Twitter feed. If you scroll to the top and look for spaces or things of that nature that are live, but we did just go ahead and post that YouTube link, see how many people we can get in that way, get a direct link as well. Avoid those technical issues that aren't our fault for once. Outside of that, though, welcome into the show where we will be reacting to Louisville's, I don't know what we call this, 95-85 loss to SMU. It wasn't a beatdown by any means. It was a close game for the entirety of it, but just a game where SMU was on a hot night, super hot night, 58% from the field, 47% from three. And I want to get your all's thoughts. I want to get your all's kind of current state of mind on where we sit upon this loss. Rashawn, we'll start with you. 95-85, Mustangs get the victory. Louisville on the road in its first Quad 1A opportunity out of the games we had left on the schedule, and we don't get it. Why? What happened?
Yeah, I mean it's a tough loss. Louisville, they go to Texas, they get the split, they get the win in the neutral site, in Fort Worth over Baylor, but fall short tonight. It was an SMU team that needed this win badly. They're a team that is, definitely on the bubble right now, on the right side of the bubble, but that they were not guaranteed an NCAA tournament spot, and you could feel the urgency tonight. Like they played really, really well. And for me, my first thoughts of the game, and I said as much on X, just as the game was going along, it felt like at the end of the first half, you got SMU's best shot in that first half. They played about as well offensively as they could play. They had guys stepping up that were non-shooters, that knocked down shots. That Boopy Miller was doing what Boopy Miller does. Um, it was definitely just a game where you could feel the sense of urgency in the building. And Louisville's been on the other side of that, right? In seasons where we know we needed to have a big win. We're at home. You got to find a way to get it done. And, unfortunately, Louisville was on that side of it. Like to me, this was a lot more about SMU than U of L. Like there are definitely some clear issues and some clear things that need to be cleaned up for the Cards. But I don't look at this as some sort of detriment to Louisville. This is kind of one where Roman right now, I'm just giving hats off to SMU for what they did tonight.
We're not worried about the defensive lapses consistently happening in first half and second half.
Yeah, I mean the defense is definitely probably the biggest takeaway of concern in the game, and for me personally, I think that the issues defensively have a lot more to do with the fact that Kenai Roos just doesn't seem right. He didn't seem right in the Baylor game. He definitely did not seem right tonight, and that's concerning. So for me, that's probably my biggest issue. Like, of course, you have Isaac McNeely playing 24, 25 minutes tonight when he's clearly being targeted by SMU, very much like he was in the first game when SMU came to Louisville. We saw them do pretty much the same thing tonight, and Louisville really didn't adjust to that, and that's unfortunate. And I don't think Isaac necessarily did a horrible job defensively. I thought that some of the foul calls that he got, were unfair, honestly, but by the officials. But you expect to get that on the road. But there were plenty of times where he just got blown by. He didn't, he wasn't able to stay between his man and the basket. So I think the combination of McNeely playing way too many minutes, on top of the fact that Kenai Roos just does not seem right. He seems sick, ill, under the weather. He just didn't have his normal energy, his normal explosion. He wasn't rebounding the ball. He really wasn't doing anything. And this was 2 games in a row where Kenai Roos just did not have that it. So, I don't know if he's dealing with a flu bug. I don't know if it's aftermath of his illness that he was dealing with previously, but he does not look right. But no, the defense, to me, SMU is the best offensive team. These are the best 2 offensive teams in the ACC. So I'm not going to say, I feel like Louisville's defense is good enough if you're not playing a great offensive team. I feel like their defense was solid. But against SMU, what they did tonight just wasn't good enough when they had to have it. So that's what I'll say about the defense.
I've got a couple agreeing points there, especially with the Kenai point you made as well. Mads, what went right at that first half, and then how did it fall apart for us?
I think in the second half we came out kind of like it was like we were on our heels from the time the second half started. Like I know we started with the offensive possession, but I'm pretty sure didn't it start with a turnover? The second half, I think we started the second half with the turnover. So it's like from then on, it was almost like it just was so disjointed. You go from looking really kind of cohesive and together and, full of chemistry on the offensive end to this game. It's like the pieces, the cogs kind of weren't hitting the right spots. The gears weren't clicking into place. Like we've seen the last couple games. I mean, Michael did what Michael does. He looks like he's, firmly kind of found it. But as far as everybody else, it's kind of a crapshoot, any given night, who's really going to step up. I mean, for the most part, Conwell ends up finishing with 14, but he took 16 shots to get there. I mean, 2 for 11 from 3, it's kind of, it's frustrating whenever you think he's kind of maybe turned a corner, with, last game. I thought especially, there were opportunities where I felt like he would have chucked threes, but then he decided to drive to the basket. I wanted to see more of that this game, and I feel like he kind of reverted back a little bit to the chucking shots variation of himself, and not the, let me drive, I can finish with either hand, I can get fouled, I can get to the free throw line. Version of himself. And that's something that I'm like, why can't we just be consistent with that? Obviously Hadley had a decent night. But I think that defensively it was really hard for him because he was switching on to a lot of different guys, and a lot of guys that were bigger than him. So, by the end of the game, I feel like he was kind of gassed. He also was just getting over being sick, getting over, having the whole, he had some back problems, been wearing a back brace and such. So, he always is going to be, he's Mr. Consistent for the most part. So, I got what, you thought you would get out of him. But I think, Isaac McNeely, we're going to have to try to find a way to hide him a little better. I don't know exactly what the answer is with that. If it's, if we're going to just
less minutes.
If we're that's part of
bench.
it. That's part of it. That's part of it. But
why
he's
did
out
Adrian
there,
Woolley not play more in this game?
Woolley was turning it over on offense. He got a couple nice little threes off some good, nice assists. But I think that he was on offense. For the most part, he was kind of dribbling and not really paying attention to where he was. It was like he was getting into the paint and then he was just kind of looking for a foul or, not really trying to finish.
When he got blocked, that was a weak,
really weak. And I think Frew too. He was meh. I don't think he was bad, but he wasn't the version that he seemed, to kind of have rounded into these last few games either. There were quite a few times that I feel like he should have went up, and tried to dunk the ball, and he got fouled a couple times, but I think he still, it would have been an and one if you dunked the ball, instead of trying to lay it up off the glass when you're right under the rim and you're 7 foot tall, go up off 2 feet with 2 hands and dunk the ball. Kanai too. I agree with Rashawn wholeheartedly on that point. That transition was kind of in transition bucket that he ended up getting blocked, just a nasty block at the rim.
Terrible.
Kanai dunks that that's a poster. I was firmly just ready to stand up and be like, yeah, fist pump, because Kanai was going to dunk that ball. And he just got absolutely just denied at the rim. And you don't see that. So yeah, that to me, that's kind of weird. But I wish that we could get over that hump of consistency. I feel like that's the biggest theme, is because we've seen so many flashes, and then it's really disappointing because the last 3 games we feel like, we feel like we've either turned a corner or whatever verbiage you want to use. We've kind of flipped a switch or we figured something out or what have you. And this game, it's like, wait a minute, where did the defensive intensity go? Where did the, not settling for jumpers and driving the lane go and trying to get to the free throw line go? Where's that at? Where's Frew dunking everything at? Keep that same energy, keep that same mentality. And now I do also agree, SMU played like a team possessed. They were desperate. They needed this win. They wanted this win clearly, and their arena is not easy to play in. We've had some barn burners there before. Everybody remembers Russ Smith puking on the sideline, coming in, hitting logo threes. We've had some games there, really high intensity. And again, these are the 2 best offensive teams, and they especially, when they're hitting from 3, the way that they were, even like I said, they hit some crazy fadeaway shots, some shots that were, I thought, pretty well contested, some shots at the end of the shot clock and things like that. That you just feel like, when the first half buzzer goes off, you feel like, okay, that can't continue in the second half. They're gonna revert back to, they're not gonna hit it like this, are they? And they did. So at that point, it's like, okay, it's on you to adjust to that and to be like, okay, how do we kind of, we take McNeely out, even though Kanai doesn't seem like exactly himself, we put him in there for length, or, hell, Kasich Pryor only played 3 minutes. I feel like when he was out there, it made it more difficult on SMU to work the ball around, to kind of get to their spots, just his length. He's 6'10" with almost a 7-foot wingspan. He stands with arms and legs, out in the middle of your offense, waving his arms around around, you're going to have a hard time getting the ball around him. So, I feel like he should have played more. We just kind of reverted a little bit to these befuddling, things. And I feel like if we could be consistent, and we just haven't all year. I mean, for a couple games against a couple lesser opponents, sure. I mean, because besides Michael's explosion against NC State, but I mean, just as a team, we haven't been able to string, specifically defensively, these good performances together. And it's middle of February, late February already even. So, I mean, we got to get something figured out.
Trevor, what do you think?
I mean, it's hard to. You should be negative because it's a loss, but for starters, I agree with Rashawn. I mean, this was a game where I thought Louisville played well. SMU just played better. I mean, obviously there were points of the game that they both had pointed out, and I'll reiterate a little bit that Louisville could have been better at. But Louisville gave them. We had a shot in this point in this game where we gave them a nice little 1-2 punch and hit them with the body and hit them in the kidney and got them in the uppercut. And they called timeout when we scored the 6th straight. I think 2 of them off of putbacks on top of it off the fast break. But SMU did a good job of answering, and I thought just unfortunately played better than Louisville. I agree with that, Rashawn. I agree with something with Madison was saying, especially with Conwell. I mean, listen, Conwell just does not need to be taking more threes than he does twos. And he's good a shooter as he can be. And when he does do it, and he took 16 shots and 11 of them are threes tonight, and he's been just kind of not struggling with 3, but he wasn't hitting it well tonight. And he didn't take that many bad looks. I think a little bit of the foul issue with him
in the second half.
Yeah, he couldn't get into a rhythm. He felt out of sync all game, and I think the fact that he had to sit down with some fouls, with the 2 fouls, and he had the 3 fouls, and you saw that affect him, especially defensively after that point, because he didn't want to get his 4th foul, which he didn't do until I think we were starting to foul to put him on the free throw line.
Bro, we had 17 turnovers. That was awful.
Yeah, and then he had in the Baylor game too. He looks like Chuck Knobloch trying to find first base over there. I don't know what he's doing. Throwing the ball like 5 feet into the stands, but he did it again once tonight. So, but that aside, Hadley played well enough that probably should have made up for it. That said, I don't agree with the Frew hate. I think Frew played much better than he did in the first game in the matchup with him, even though we actually won that game. The stats may not show
He did.
it,
He defended well. He walled up a couple times against their big.
And he got those 2 early fouls, which I thought were a little unfair, but that's how it plays out. And he came out, and I thought he did a decent job. He just, he got to the foul line on a couple of them. One of them may have been a questionable, but the other one was a foul in the dunk where he tried to block him. And who was the other thing I wanted to, damn it, there was something I almost forgot I wanted to disagree with Rashawn. You're lucky, dude. Short-term memory. I think it might have been the Isaac McNeely hate a little bit because, yes, defensively, listen, short-term memory aside for me, if you haven't accepted the fact that Isaac McNeely's not a good defensive player at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Seriously, you're just blind. But he is what he is. The difference is when the juice is worth the squeeze of having him out there is when he can be effective offensively. And if I remember correctly, he was the big difference in the game at the Center between us. He played really well in that game.
But Trey, doesn't he have to give you more than 6 points? He hit that first 3 within the first 2 minutes of the game. He only scored 3 points the rest of the game, though. He's got to do more than that on offense, though, right?
No, you're right. I'm just saying but you just can't hate on him because of his defense. He played poorly offensively in this game. Yeah. We can't hate on his defense because it's like hating on the 40-year-old virgin and not get laid. It's just not. There's no point in it. He's not going to get any better. So when he plays poor offensively, that's when his minutes should be more limited. And I think I can't read the screen here, but was it 24 minutes?
25 minutes.
Yeah, and let's be honest, like 3 of those are at the end of the game when we're trying to get back into it and wanting him out there to shoot threes possibly, even though he wasn't shooting well. Hell, he got a steal that could have really changed the impact of the game and then missed the layup. That was his game in a nutshell.
He should have shot the transition 3, man. He should have shot it.
Or just kicked it out.
He was wide open. He was on the steal. He was wide open coming up the court.
Defensively, I don't think, even though we gave up, I know this is crazy to say, and I'm not that stoned, I swear, but even though we gave up the percentages we did, I didn't think we were playing that bad defensively. I just think they were hitting shots, especially, Jermaine O'Neal had a couple, junior, makes me sound old. Jamilo Jr. Had a couple nice little in your face shots. We talked about before we went on the air here that what I thought was obviously the backbreaker was the Pierre shot with two guys in his face. Boopy
Yeah,
Miller did hats off to Boopy Miller. I mean, he played out of his mind. He was much better in this game as he was in the last time we played him. I would say I would have liked to seen us press a little sooner in the second half, a little more than we did, because that was one of the things I thought we did in the first matchup. They really kind of sped him up and got him kind of out of their groove, even though Miller was still, not playing horribly, but not playing as well as he did tonight. And I thought we kind of went to that a little later than we should have. Maybe it's because the game was, I don't know, close, but especially when we got him in half court, I thought we did a decent job defensively. More often than not, though, they just did a good job of Miller just kind of beating us one-on-one and finding Pierre half the time for something open, and he just kind of killed us. I mean,
Boopy Miller kind of had Trevor, you can tell me if you disagree with this or not, but I mean, to me, Boopy Miller played the exact same type of game that Chucky Hepburn would have played for us last year. If you look at his numbers, his efficiency, I mean, that's basically what he did.
Yeah, he took over the game. He did. I mean, that's what. I mean, he's what, like 24 or something. I mean, I know he looks like he's 16, but he's not. I mean, he can probably rent a car for all we know. So
I mean, 23 points on 14 shots, 9 assists, only 3 turnovers. I mean, that's
the
a
9 assists was the big thing, obviously. I mean, I think if you look at the first matchup we had with him, he had 4. I think he had 4 assists and like 8 turnovers in that game.
Yeah.
So I mean, and a lot of that again, I'm not saying I think we pressed a lot less in this game, but it was.
I got a few points.
I mean, there's things that we can critique a little bit here and there. I agree. I mean, you can obviously ask, when you lose a game, well, why didn't Pryor play a few more minutes? Because Bruce, just kind of looked lethargic out there again for the second straight. I don't know what it is about Texas. Maybe he's eating barbecue too much. I don't know. But the rejection when he went up for the dunk, I mean, that's kind of.
I don't even think he got the ball above the rim when he got that dunk blocked, honestly.
It was a guard,
He was low. He was low, man.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. He looked at
2 offensive rebounds. He had 2 offensive rebounds. He kind of had ripped away from him. Or he didn't complete the offensive rebound because he just let somebody get a hand on it, let him beat them to the ball because they wanted it a little bit more than him. He definitely seemed a little bit lost offensively for sure. I thought he had a couple good contests defensively in the minutes he got to play out there. I think ultimately when you go up against a team that's shooting the way that they are, and I think the way that, I mean, BJ Edwards, we closed out well on him, and then he made the right read every time he got the basketball. And that the combination of Boopy Miller and Edwards making the right play every single time was just tough for us defensively. And then in the second half, you combine that with too many turnovers, just a lot of sloppy play there in the second half when you're going up against a team that's just shooting too hot. You can't turn the basketball over on the road against a team that's shooting that way. I mean, we did the things we
just say what you want. Just say Mikael Brown, because I mean that was his 7 turnovers, and 4 or 5 of them were not only bad, but they allowed SMU to get in a transition. And in the second half, like I said, even though I thought we played decent defensively transition wise, they were just taking advantage of it and beating us regardless. When we got them in the half court, we were playing much, but that's when we got on our little runs. We can get them in half court. And when we were allowing them to get it and run and be able to run, we were nothing. We were just bait out there. And all his turnovers,
12 of our 17 came in the second half.
Transition baskets.
Yep. Ryan had a really, really bad one that led to a transition. Frew had a sloppy one, I thought, as well. And then Michael just had a couple of boneheaded decisions out there. And I get that the pace gets up, the intensity gets up. The 3-point lead now is a 8-point lead, and you're trying to do whatever you can to do to stay close. But when it was close, there's just a couple of decisions out there that let it get out of hand, I thought. And then what was really tough to watch in this one was in the possessions that we did defend extremely well, they hit tough shots in a lot of those possessions.
Yes.
For the entirety of the game. And there's nothing you can do about that other than put your hats off. One thing I will say is we came out of the gates, I felt like defensively way hungrier than they did defensively in that first 3-minute span, and we weren't able to capitalize offensively from that. I felt like if we could have got a little bit of a lead early in that first half right there, that could have helped us out. But So, it's just part of it. It's part of playing ACC road games against high-powered offenses. You're going to have games like this. Boobie Miller is one of the best, I don't want to, not two-way, but dual threat point guards in college basketball in terms of his ability to score and in his ability to create for others. So he made the right read in crunch time every time. I mean, yeah, the fadeaway from Michael was nice to keep it from getting ugly, but too much slop half. Defense didn't get amplified in that second half. And when you combine that with some turnovers, that's just what it's going to look like. I don't think you got enough production from your bench in that second half. But one thing I want to ask you guys before I get your all's next points and kind of where you go from here after this game in terms of just where the team is defensively, or you kind of more chalk it up to the SMU team performing offensively like that. Do you guys think Pat maybe has I'm not going to say an issue, but it feels like to me, after your first mistake, you have an extremely short leash on this team as a role player, as a bench player. And the starting guys, it's the longest leash in the world. I want to know, if you guys feel like there's something to be said about maybe Pat not looking to go to some of the guys who have maybe made mistakes earlier in the game sooner, or if that's the way it needs to be when you're trying to make players learn from the bench, right? Because I just thought we could have gone to any of them, Kenai, Kaysen, or Woolley, a little bit more in that second half to either get that length or that a little bit better defensive prowess out there. Am I crazy?
I'm okay. No, the only thing I agree with you on that. To me, Louisville had gotten over the last several games into a habit of kind of going to the bigger lineup as a nice little they would start with the smaller lineup to begin with, try to get off to a good start offensively, and then immediately come with your better defensive group to kind of get a little bit of a lockdown defensively. And we didn't really see that tonight. We did not see much of the bigger lineup at all, even though I do think that is the best defensive group that Louisville has. And I think part of that has to do with whatever the issue was with Kenai. We started seeing Willie come in at that 4-man, that kind of 3 and 4-man spot a lot, especially in the second half. But one spot where I think they could have maybe helped themselves a little bit, this was not Ali Khalifa game, okay? SMU was not going to allow the backdoor passes. They weren't going to allow any of that. And Ali wasn't hitting his shots from the perimeter, so he was pretty much useless out there. To me, one thing where I thought they could have helped themselves is if you were going to try to force feed going with a little bit of a smaller lineup, how about go with Kaysen Pryor at the 5? He still has the length. I mean, Yugitolu is going to be a problem for anybody, but at least I know Kaysen's going to make him work for it. He's going to, get into him. He's going to get under him. He's going to play hard. And we just didn't see that. To me, this was a game where Ali Khalifa really just struggled to do anything. And I would have liked to have seen Louisville maybe do a little something different there, but kind of going with the bigger lineup, even honestly giving Zugris an opportunity at the 4 spot right next to Frew and having that Zoo and Frew line up together. There were some different things. Louisville the one thing that I have continually had an issue with defensively is that we don't seem to make, we may make some defensive adjustments in terms of philosophy as far as, okay, let's start pushing out or let's start shading this way in the second half. And those adjustments work a little bit. They did slow down SMU a little bit to start the second half. But in terms of
rotations,
personnel, yes, the personnel rotations, there just hasn't been a lot. And I think that's where I really think that there still needs to be some growth, because I do think that we could see – I think Zoo it has the foot speed to play at the 4, and I think that, Pryor can help at the 5. As well, if Khalifa doesn't have it, in my opinion.
I do agree.
Get the harder player to get around, at least out there. Somebody that's going to foul the shit out of you when they do foul you, right? In a game like this, because Khalifa's not an offensive threat in a game like that, and he's not quick. He can't shoot fast enough to maximize that little bit of space they're giving him. A lot of moments where Khalifa catches the ball, and for a second and a half, he has room to shoot. For about 2 seconds, he has room to shoot. But he can't get a shot up that quick. He needs to set his feet, and he has that kind of push shot as well. So he knows that defense has to be a little bit further than he would like, or they have to be a real smaller guard closing out. And outside of Boopy Miller, that's not a small team. And he couldn't maximize that little bit of a cushion they were giving him in a game like that. Stretch it out with the 5, let him play, let somebody like Lowe keep going to Javon Hadley on the block a little bit more as well, because that kind of forced a double team. You brought Yugitolu in, and then you gave yourself offensive rebounding chances. It's every time the ball seemed to touch the paint. With somebody like Zugris out there, he can kind of maximize those opportunities if he can. I would have liked to see more as well. Trevor, how do you feel about the rotations?
I mean, I don't think it's a leash thing per se. I mean, I do think if it was, I think, I agree with you when you say the starters, but mainly when you say starters, it's Conwell and Brown in terms of have the longest leashes, and probably rightfully so. I mean, when it comes to the tournament, I mean, we're going to go as far as we're going to take us both of that backcourt. But I mean, what Rashawn said about Ali, I mean, it was not. I mean, there was nothing in this game that's going to make his highlight reel ever. I mean, it was not his best night, and yeah, I think he took just the 2 shots. One of them was just kind of a shot clock 3 to try to beat it, and it didn't. Obviously, I don't think hit either one of them. But he also, his minutes, and Zubris played some few minutes too, but both their minutes only came in the first half when Frew had foul trouble. I mean, I don't think it's as much of a giving. In your question about leashes when it comes to Frew, I don't think it's as much. For him, it's not as much a leash as it is just, he's better than what we kind of have overall at that center position.
Yeah.
And also, I think that this was, a problem that we had last year. And last year's team I thought was good. Now, this year's team is better. And last year's team, had some decent depth, but injuries diminished it.
It's a drop off.
In that Creighton game, particularly, and down the stretch of last year's season, you saw the wear and tear. We talked about this on Real Spiel many a times. Go back and watch the archives. I know I brought it up. Just this team having everybody in that starting lineup last year playing 35, 36 minutes every game throughout the entire season. And I think with this team, even, with the hiccups we've had with, illnesses and slight injuries here and there through the year, I mean, you see, I think Pat Kelsey, and this can be a complaint too. I think I've seen 1 or 2 people complain about on social media that, he's using rotations, just to use rotations. The guy's hot, he still takes them out and brings another guy in for just for 5 to 6
and sometimes
minutes.
he puts weird lineups in there, like
and I
weird
agree.
lineups.
And here's the thing: the positive spin on that, though, and this is, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe this is a Kelsey thing. We're thinking, ESP together here, is that when we get down to the ACC tournament, we get into going into the NCAA tournament. You see your starting lineup, your best 5 playing, and obviously you'll run 6 or 7 guys. Tino's once said you only really need 7 guys anyway in the NCAA tournament run with all the timeouts and breaks and stuff. But you got to be healthy when you get there. And that's what I think we're seeing more of with these guys playing. And I don't think it's much of a leash thing, is if he's letting a lot of these guys, role players, get more minutes maybe here and keeping them rotating to know who's going to be everybody's going to be fresh, and you go into with your best lineup then and when it comes to March. That's what I'm hoping is the mindset in it. Or maybe he's just stupid. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Or he doesn't trust him. He just really doesn't trust him. And I can understand that. Yeah, I can understand if you don't trust him. I like to think
it's a mad scientist thing, like as a Kelsey mindset. And that's what it is.
Rashawn, tell me, explain just one more time, and we'll get this from you as well, Maz. Just a quick point. We want to like to keep these under 40 minutes if we can, right about so.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, upon this loss to SMU, do you leave this game with more worries about Louisville defensively, or maybe just more of an understanding does have the chance to potentially go and lose against the lesser team because of our defensive deficiencies?
Honestly, I feel better about Louisville after this 2-game stretch in Texas than I did going into it. I think that Louisville is getting better. I still think that they improved tonight, even though they did lose. I think that, against a team like SMU, I honestly, especially with the Caleb Wilson injury, I think that this game at SMU was going to be tougher than the game at UNC. If Louisville plays as well as they did tonight against SMU, against UNC next week, they will beat North Carolina in Chapel Hill. I'm just going to be honest with you, because I just don't think that North Carolina has the offensive explosive ability that SMU does. SMU is a very talented offensive team, and they're a talented offensive team that got a superlative night from their guys. So that's why I'm not overreacting to the defense. I think that definitely there are some issues athletically there with
Pierre got
the
his
quickness.
2,000-point ball though. He got his 2,000-point ball.
They had
He
3
knew he was
guys
gonna
go for
light it up.
66 points. Yes, I mean it was what it was. Like, to me, this game does not worry me. Like, even coming out of this game with the loss, I feel better about Louisville after tonight's game than I did before, because I think that this performance beats a lot of teams in the NCAA tournament, even though they lost tonight.
Great point there. Madison, better or worse about Louisville after this one?
I mean, dang, Rashawn, you kind of talked me off the ledge. I'm kidding. I'm never on the ledge. I'm a glass half full kind of girl. But I think that I really, 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 I tend to agree. I have a thought, though, because I feel like, and I wonder if you guys agree with this, I feel like in all our other losses this year, we've either beaten ourselves, kind of like we did tonight a little bit, other than the fact that they had an otherworldly shooting night. We did turn the ball over 17 times, 12 times in the second half. I mean, we started chucking the ball again, we kind of, like I said, reverted. That's the word of the night, I feel like, revert. We reverted back to our old bull crap. But
we got shoved in that second half a little bit.
Yeah, we did. Well, because I feel like we just decided to be like, we're frustrated. It's not going well. So, man, like we were just, because we gave up a couple too, like just super easy little floaters, little middies right there in the lane.
They did not miss a single floater in the middle of the lane. Not one.
And it's like, put a hand up. Like, why are you closing out with no hand up? Like, what is your hands down by your knees going to do when someone's pulling up for a float? Like, put a hand up. That was really frustrating. But the main point that I'm getting at is I feel like all these other losses besides this one, we've either beat ourselves or we've just straight up got beat, like, Duke and Arkansas and stuff. But tonight was it was like a clunker. I feel like this was our first clunker of the season. Just the night where things just really just couldn't go right. It wasn't really terrible because, like, we shot 38% from 3. We hit 13 of them. I mean, it's not like we didn't shoot well. It's not like, we shot, I think, like 45, 46% from the field overall. Michael had a really good night. Hadley had a good night. Ali Khalifa, for his deficiencies defensively, he had 5 assists. So I think, you give up certain things in certain areas, but then sometimes it's like when the offense isn't going or when they're really hedging out on Mikel and they're pushing him out to the corner or, out near the half court line, you can get Ali involved right there at the top of the line and kind of, he can initiate offense, which, sometimes works out well for us. So I think that this was, like I said, this was kind of just the first clunker. It reminded me of like watching the football team play Stanford a couple years ago. It was just one of those things.
I mean, 45% from the field, 30% from 3, hit 13 threes, 80% from the free throw line. I mean, it wasn't necessarily, to me, and that's, but I think that's the growth of the team, right? Is like, especially now that Michael Brown is becoming what we thought he could become, and honestly, even more. Like, he's playing at a very high level right now. This kid has gone for what? How many did he have tonight? 28, 29 points?
Yeah, I think he had 29 again, but he had 7 turnovers. He's got to clean that up because I feel like he's ahead. People mentioned it on Twitter, but I agree because I think he's just so advanced that he's like ahead of the other guys. So the passes are so quick and so fast. It's like he knows where they're going to be before they're where they're going to be, and it goes out of bounds. It's like
his passes were errant tonight. I'll agree with that. I mean, 7 turnovers.
There's a lot of great passes too.
But when you go 45, 29, and 29 in your last 3 games, like, I don't know how many Louisville players have ever had a 3-game stretch that Michael just had. So,
he's on a different planet right now.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, SMU is probably the most athletic, quickest team he's played against since he got back from injury. I mean, you can talk about Duke, but Duke doesn't have the foot speed that SMU does. Duke is big and strong, but SMU speeds you up. And I thought they did a very good job of speeding Michael up. And I love how aggressive Michael was getting to the basket. And at least 3 or 4 of those turnovers came from him getting all the way to the lane and not really being able to get the pass where he wanted to. He'll get better with that. Like, all this stuff with Michael, I look at as a learning opportunity. And I think he's going to get better off of that. So with how well he's playing right now, honestly, it makes me more excited because the kid is already at a ridiculous level. Now, if he can just clean up the turnovers and clean up being a little bit more accurate with your passing, he can just, if we can cut those turnovers from 7 down to 2 or 3, like how much better of a game does Louisville have tonight?
Yeah, I
Wrap us
agree.
up,
I
Trevor.
agree. I just he raises his hand. Sorry, Trev.
No, I
I
didn't know.
agree. I just think that he like I'm glad to see him not like trying to force things anymore. It seems like he's really more so letting the game come to him and kind of utilizing his IQ and that pace that he plays with, because that's his strongest asset to me, is his ability to kind of control the tempo of a game with just the way he can pace it on that offensive end. Just he can score from anywhere, because obviously he's proven the last couple of games, especially he's an elite shooter. Because some people were sleeping on him and forgetting what he did in McDonald's All-American and in the U19s and stuff. He has a slump, but one little slump, and people, just forget about it after a back injury. But definitely, that aspect of his game is definitely back as well. And I think that, him going, left as much as he does and finishing the way that he does, and, the and ones that he had tonight. I mean, I definitely agree with you. I wish that we could, like I said, I wish consistently, especially defensively. That's what worries me. I think offensively, even after tonight, I'm not really worried. I'm not really worried about us. I think that we're gonna, we are getting better, as you said. I definitely agree at that aspect, but I just wish that defensively we could get it figured out together as a unit and can string those good performances together, a few games, and not just have a game where we play really well defensively or two and then it falls off a cliff the next game. Now, I don't think it fell off a cliff tonight, but I feel like our effort could have been better. I feel like we definitely, let them get a little comfortable by leaving them open a couple times, not closing out as hard as we should, not getting a hand up. And then once they watched a couple shots go through the net, I mean, a team that's prolific offensively, this is the first time I believe all season we've given up 90 points. So, I mean, that just tells you right there. And I mean, you can go look at the stats. I mean, the numbers, and I mean, you watch the game. I mean, that guy that got his 2,000 point ball. I mean, apparently every time they were saying on the broadcast something about every time somebody gets a point ball at SMU, they go off. So I guess that's just a thing that happens. The announcers were talking about, we knew when he got his ball that he was about to hoop. So, I mean, it was just, like I said, it was kind of just a perfect storm of all the things that we've lamented over the season, in one game.
Yeah. Trevor?
I mean, I'm not going to be positive. We lost the fucking game, dudes. I mean, I'm not going to be overly positive. I mean, we lost. I mean,
No, I'm saying. I mean, I'm asking if you feel worse about this team defensively,
I never feel good after a loss. I mean, fuck. I mean, it's a loss, dude. You get punched in the face and feel good?
I'm saying, though, do you feel like this? Should we feel more worried about this Louisville team defensively after this game?
In that case, no. Because I think, I mean, it's a loss, so it sucks, but it wasn't like the Stanford loss. I thought was like a bad. That's a loss that you just like kick yourself or punch yourself in the groin over. I mean, that's this one. I mean, Louisville played well. I thought really well. We played well enough. We should have won the game. I think SMU just it was one of those nights. I mean, you're gonna have them, and I think they had it and we didn't in certain situations. And also, I know I kind of want to sound like I was hating on Mikael Brown with those turnovers, because offensively, I mean, he is just on fire. I mean, it's not just him just putting up points like Trae Young style, or some other guys that you see put up a lot of points where they're just taking 30 shots or whatever. I mean, shooting efficiently. I mean, I think it was a 4 of 8 tonight from 3. I don't know what his overall was. I think Matt said it best too. He's doing such a great job of going downhill, which I've used that phrase more times than Kate Hill's singing "Running Up That Hill." I mean,
He was 11 of 18.
Did a lot. Yeah. So I mean, and 18, and so that means you're taking 10 twos and 8 threes. That, Ryan Caldwell, is what the stat line needs to look like for you as well. We'll get into that another day, but. Mikael, but the problem with the turnovers is he's kind of like our Django. He's a dead eye shooter, but he's got a dramatic for the flair. And a lot of those turnovers, with the exception of dribbling off your own foot late in the game, I can't remember which.
What'd you think about that underhanded attempt at a pass to McNeely in the opposite corner?
I don't remember which. It was Matt or Rashawn or you that brought it up. I can't remember now, but said that I think 3 of those turnovers came where he got deep in the lane and just didn't try to make a a pass he didn't need to take. Just even if you're going to miss the shot, that's a position where you either dribble it back out, Steve Nash style, or you just go up with it and try to get a foul. And more often than not, especially the way they were calling the game in the second half in our kind of favor, because we were being more aggressive offensively.
Hey, did it seem like once we got to the 7 fouls, I swear those referees did not want to call any more fouls on SMU.
Well, they didn't stop calling it, but they got more picky. They were like,
yeah, very much.
2 maybe 1 out of maybe 3 will call now. Once because that was the point where SMU and again, this is where you give SMU credit here, is that when that was around the same time when we had 7 fouls, I think they had 7, we had 1. We went on that little run where we had the back-to-back putbacks in the back. We were up, I think, 6 points. Might have been our biggest lead of the game for all I remember. And SMU called timeout, and they answered, and we didn't. Yeah. You can give them credit, and if you don't want to be more negative, if you want to be a negative guy, you can say we didn't take advantage of it. We had their teeth on the curb, and instead of stomping down, we walked away and helped them up and dusted them off. Either way, but SMU, answered back, and we didn't ever go down. We kept getting up. This wasn't a TKO in any way. This was a draw going to the judges at the end of this fight between us two. At least we didn't give up 100. Yeah, fuck you, SMU.
Agreed.
Pony
Great
up,
points
pony
there.
this,
Great
bitch.
points there.
I was saying fuck you every shot that they made. I was like, are you kidding me? Like especially when they were fading or was
when
like
Jermaine O'Neal hits the fadeaway 18-footer, I'm like, that's
Junior,
not.
Right?
Jermaine O'Neal Jr. hits the fadeaway 18-footer.
On a side note, I don't know if this doesn't matter, but this is the pothead ramble. There's got to be somebody's looking at this. Jermaine O'Neal and Kevin Garnett. I swear they have the same dad. You look into their history. Neither one knew who their dad was. They do look very similar. They have similar builds, similar game. They both are about a year. They're Irish twins in terms of their birthdays. Both from like towns in South Carolina, just a couple towns apart. And Jermaine O'Neal once said in an interview that all he knew was his dad had like 30 kids and didn't know any of his brothers or sisters out there. I swear, I get some DNA tests. They have to be related in some way. That's my random thought of the day. That's what happens.
Never heard that.
I would rather talk about that than Louisville's giving up 95 points, losing.
I love Trevor's brain. I love the way his brain works and retains information, man. That right there.
I'm just saying, just look it up. Go do the math.
That's fair. That's fair.
Great points that you guys have all made tonight. I really appreciate you guys coming on here and giving your all's thoughts about this loss where you do, like Trevor said, give up 95 points, but you play a great offensive game. And like Rashawn mentioned earlier, a game in which play this game offensively more times than not, you could probably win a couple tournament games with it for sure. So like to see that. We'll be back on the Real Spiel Postgame Show following Louisville's next matchup. Who do we have next, fellas? It's Georgia Tech.
You got Georgia Tech at home. I believe 2:00
at home
tip.
Saturday.
Okay, that's got to be one of the games.
2:15 tip on the CW.
Oh yeah.
You got to angry fuck them for this loss. The Georgia Tech's about to get taken out. It's going to be brutal.
It's our senior night.
Behind the woodshed.
Senior night as well. So,
but I'm hoping Georgia can make me happy. They're up 9 on Kentucky right now, so hopefully Georgia can make my night better if they can pull this one out against UK. So hey, at least I'll have somebody I can make fun of. Sorry, they're up 11 now, so let's go Dogs.
I don't feel great. I watched Miami and Va Tech, and they only won by 1, but Miami's guards look. They're solid.
Miami's going to be a tough challenge at the end of the year. Louisville definitely. That's the one thing is that they have 3 quad 1A opportunities left on the schedule. They have four including tonight, so they got to find a way to get. If they can get 2 of those on the road. You've got to like where you're at. They get, on the road at Miami, on the road at North Carolina. If you can pull out a couple of those, I think that they will be in a good spot. But we got to find a way to get it done.
Clemson
on the road at Clemson. Yeah.
So got to get 2 of those if you can. I think that kind of
you got to split 2 of these.
I really think you can get North Carolina. I don't know. I just have a feeling. I really feel like you can get North Carolina. I don't know. I just feel like they're ripe for the getting.
I'm worried they're going to
Caleb Wilson.
I'm worried they're going to flame out here at the end
on North Carolina tonight.
Yeah, Caleb Wilson's hurt. Henry Visar, it was questionable tonight. I'm not even sure if he played the big 7-2 guy.
He didn't play. They were missing both of them.
So Visar's banged up. Caleb Wilson's out. You got to take advantage. You know, if you're Louisville,
They
you got
got
to find a way
busted
to
up
get that
tonight.
Yeah. NC State took them to the woodshed. Another team that needed a big win. I mean, these teams are not going to go down. The ACC is a lot better this year than last year. They're going to get 7 or 8 teams into the NCAA tournament. So, you know, hopefully the strength of the league is such that you're not going to see, you know, 5 or 6 teams with 7, 8, 9 seeds. You know, like hopefully, you know, Louisville can get up to that 4 or 5 line and down, you know, for the rest of the teams in the ACC. Hopefully. We'll see.
The positive thing is that Georgia Tech is next, and they are not one of those teams that Rashawn's talking about.
Oh,
They
no.
are not a very good team.
Bounce back.
And this
Bounce back this Saturday. Get back right this
Louisville
Saturday.
really needs to go Pittsburgh on them. I mean, you have to. I mean, Louisville should. I mean,
they should. I expect them to put on a show on Saturday.
All right. That's going to wrap us up here on the Real Spill postgame show. We didn't get any comments in on the chat. We did get all of our thoughts for the most part out. If there's anything you guys want to add, feel free to go into it now regarding the game tonight or the next one may be. Before we do get out of here, we want to thank the people that did tune in on YouTube and X. I don't know how many it was because of the issues that the stream seemed to have had. We'll be able to see that on YouTube after the fact, potentially here. It shows me that we're live. It says that there's 10 viewers. I don't know. Okay, but Rashawn Myers, Trevor Kelsey, Madison Wood.
Show.
I gotta watch the game in the morning though, so I'm not
like I can't watch Sports Center till like fucking Wednesday now. It sucks.
SMU upsets Louisville on their home floor. Don't want to hear that.
Yeah, just
over
don't
and
watch
over.
it, y'all. Just don't watch
But wraps up on the Real Spill podcast post game show. Thank you all so much for tuning. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll catch you guys after the Georgia Tech game.